Woo! Okay.
That's it?
We
That's all you
are.
got is woo,
I'm
okay?
wooing. I'm
We're
wooing.
back, volume 2,
The
baby.
the excitement continues. I must say, people were um, people were excited to that we just sort of
Really?
dropped an episode. I had many people who, well, it's interesting. There's two groups of people. There's people who were excited that we were back, like my dad, um, and
Uh-huh.
people at my new parish, Holy Family Cathedral, downtown Tulsa, 820 South Boulder, who had never heard of the show.
What?
Well, they
What
live in
rock have
Tulsa,
they
man.
been living
We were
under?
we
I
were in
mean, we
Payne County. We were
broadcasted
off the
this.
map.
We broadcasted this to the edge of the
I
galaxy.
know, but if people didn't listen to, I mean, there's a lot of new people in my orbit
Okay?
that had never been in my life
That I get it. I
before.
get it. But the people on 6th Street, which is also known as Highway 51 in Tulsa, now the
Sixth
people are going to
Street,
learn.
six. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They love it. They were. I was driving by tonight, coming in from Fairgrounds Road, and had to toot my horn, and someone yelled, "Posters of Pain." That really didn't happen, but I dreamed of it happening. I dreamed of it happening. It didn't.
No, people here when I've told them, I said that you and I have a podcast, and they said, "What's it called?" And I say, "Pastors of Pain," and they go, "Oh, oh." They like make a
Like,
face because and then I say, "Oh, well, we were in, I used to live in Payne County." Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny.
yes. Well,
That's what they're
the
saying.
the demand, Madison
My
Omen, and
parishioner, my
Madison
new
Lockhart,
parishioner,
Madison Jurgensmeyer,
my former parishioner,
former
and yours.
illustrious alums of Oklahoma State University, both like the two OK Priests title.
So we did. Did we mention that last time? I don't know if we did.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did that.
We
It
were
was
gonna
just going to be called.
change. We were gonna like rebrand, make a new logo, and make a new title to reflect my move. And then sort of anticipating. I mean, if we keep this going for like 25 years,
Oh boy.
you're gonna have a new assignment sometime in the next 25 years. I'll have a new assignment.
Yeah.
We'll be doing this from the retirement home.
I'm hoping I'm kind of dead by then.
We'll be doing this from Monterey.
Oh my gosh.
Now that the Franciscan Villa in Broken Arrow is gone, we'll have to.
Is it gone? They demolished it?
It's gone. Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
What?
anyway. So thanks everyone for listening. If you're new to the show, it's a half hour long, and it's just the two of us talking about being priests in the Diocese of Tulsa, which is
Mm-hmm.
the best diocese in the country.
Oh yeah.
We just
Isn't
had
it?
the Three Hearts pilgrimage, where people came from all over the country to the Diocese of Tulsa.
People came to see our bishop buried.
A lot of people came for Bishop Slattery's funeral. That was
Mm-hmm.
quite the adventure.
And we have the greatest college in the state
Yeah, TU. Yeah,
and the most beautiful
yeah.
cathedral.
We do have a nice cathedral. I've actually really enjoyed. We've had a really good couple days of like doing lots of. I'm just sort of always. I mean, I was this way in Stillwater, but Stillwater was so new. Um, I'm always seeing things that can be improved.
Yeah.
So we're like doing some stuff with our flagpole. We haven't had flags on our flagpole in years.
And you're
Um,
so patriotic.
well, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the goal is to have it up by Veterans Day, November the 11th.
I love that day.
But then we're looking at, like we're looking at our roof. We need a new roof. Uh, that's probably going to be, that's like a 1.6 or $2 million
I, I have
project.
a new roof if you want it.
Yeah.
It's
Can I borrow I can borrow
yeah,
your roof?
I'll loan you. I'll take the tiles down. I'll bring it to you.
Yeah. Anyway, just stuff. We're just like lots of little improvements. And
Yeah.
then we've got some big stuff to do too. We need more space. and I don't really know how to do that. I don't really know the kind of the ins and outs. Today is my 100th day. Well, when this airs, it'll be my
Uh-huh.
hundredth my 100th day.
Magnificent. Hey,
What's
you
going
know
on
what
in
we need to talk?
Stillwater?
If hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. If we're
What?
talking about 100 days,
Yeah,
we need to talk about what's happening in November too.
we are going to. Yes, we want to talk about. We want to tell you who to vote for, which is none of the above. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. People say that all the
I
time.
need to print out. Oh man, I don't have my ballot with me. The Oklahoma ballot is just
Yeah?
pure comedy. It's really anyway. We can kind of talk about it. Yeah, let's just dive in. Let's just dive in, and
Yeah,
we can
yeah, yeah.
catch up. We can catch up on other
Okay,
things. My
now
sister's
me.
visiting town. I want to tell you about that. I
Okay,
want to tell you
great.
about my sabbatical. I want to hear about life in Stillwater. But let's talk about
Okay,
the election because it is imminent. I'm voting
I
next
want, I
week.
want,
I'm
I want
voting
to, I
next
want to,
week.
yeah, I want to start this ball rolling because yes, we need to talk about it.
This could be a
Me,
double episode.
I know it could be.
We'll see how far we get.
My dream is not to go to the Oval Office. My dream is not to fly on Air Force One. Your dream is to do what?
I would love to go in the Oval Office or fly on Air Force One.
Okay, other things. I have
I also
seen
want to go
a
to a presidential inauguration. I've always wanted to do that.
Okay, great. I've seen half an episode of West Wing. How many episodes of West Wing have you seen?
All of them,
All of them?
multiple times.
Multiple times. Okay. Me, the only thing I know about presidents and politicians is the Might Be Giant song, James K. Polk, Napoleon of the
He's
Storm.
the
And
11th
for
president of the United States.
Yes, yes. Okay. Let's You gave a really great talk on politics and voting and didn't tell people how to vote. To be like, you got to vote for this
Right,
person or this person or
right,
this person. But
right.
you just basically, as I said to my college students when I talked to them about politics and voting, I said, I failed English, grammar, literature my freshman year of college. Then, fast forward, I had to go to summer school that year.
Oh dear.
Then, when I went to seminary, I failed Latin twice.
You're like John Vianney.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, in high school at Bishop Kelly, I got a 23 in Spanish, and they kicked me out of class because they said I had to go to remedial typing.
Out of
Okay,
100,
yes, but I was kicked out of the class like 4 weeks in because the language didn't make sense. It was when
you
I was
speak good
learning Greek.
Spanish.
I know I speak Spanish now. I speak Spanish now because I learned it living in a home and going to classes. Two, I aced 3 semesters of Greek. And what I told students at the politics is like, our problem is we're trying to talk about politics like we're trying to learn another language. And in both cases, most people don't have the grammar. I didn't have the grammar to learn another language. Most people don't have the basic building block
Yeah.
to even discuss politics. So,
Yep.
in the words of the Dixie Chicks, Cowboy, take this away. Go ahead.
In the words of the Dixie Chicks, goodbye, Earl. No. So basically, yeah, my talk. I gave a talk. So it was probably 3 weeks ago, and we'll link it. We'll link it down below in the show notes, as they say. Um, we so the talk I gave was to the young adults of the Diocese of Tulsa. There were probably about 50, I don't know, 50, 70 people there. It was over at Cabin Boys Brewery here in Tulsa, over at like 7th and
Oh,
Lewis, kind of by
nice.
Hillcrest Hospital.
Yeah.
And really, I think in the topic sort of lends itself to like an easy kind of response of like, look, just tell us who to vote for. Like, you're a priest, tell us who to vote for, and like, because I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't really, I'm not really wild about either like major party or major candidate. But I took a different approach, even a different approach than I have in previous election years. So I've been giving this sort of talk on this theme since like 2012, 2016, 2020, and now 2024. This was, I think, the best version of it because it was a
Whoa.
little more like philosophical of like what is politics for. And this is very
Ooh.
very helpful to me is one of the deacons at my parish, and he's the chancellor of the Diocese of Tulsa, and his name is Deacon Harrison Garlick. I was talking to Deacon Garlick about it, and he just kind of set me on a good path. That basically politics, ultimately, what politics is to help us to be happy. It's to
Yep.
order society so that humans will flourish. And I think that's important. So when you're voting, you're looking at a party, you're looking at and this can be. I think this is important for everybody that so much attention, right? So much of the air gets sucked up by Trump and Harris, by the Republican and Democrat, by the presidential election. But there are
Uh-huh.
so many. If you listen to my talk from Cabin Boys, I read the whole ballot to the room, and it took me like 5 minutes because
What?
it's not just president and vice president, although that's on there. What's interesting in Oklahoma is that if you for president and vice president, it's not just President Trump and Vice President Harris. There are three other candidates on the presidential ballot. And so if you don't know who those people are, like you have some educating to do before you vote. So anyway, it's about happiness. It's about how we can be better ordered as a people,
Hmm.
and then trying to elect people who represent us and who will try to bring about through law, uh, or not doing, opposing certain laws or proposing certain laws that will bring about the greatest good, and they bring about human flourishing. And so when you vote, it can't just be who's best for me, or who
Yeah.
do I like, or who do my parents like, or and I think in Oklahoma the temptation, Oklahoma, I mean, is
Yeah.
going to, like, we're the reddest red state. All 77 counties vote
Wow.
vote Republican. And I think it'll be that way again. I mean, that could change. You never quite know from year to year. But like President Donald Trump is going to win the seven electoral votes in the state of Oklahoma. And so you could say, like, well, then why do I even vote? Well, because there you can vote. You're going to vote for U.S. House of Representatives, state house, state senate, city council, county commissioner. There's multiple ballot initiatives. We're
Judges.
voting. We're voting for judges to retain or to
Yep.
kick out certain judges. So anyway, there's a lot more to it than just the presidential election. But anyway, all that to say, who is going to help bring about the most well-ordered society that is going to bring about human flourishing? That was kind of my main
Oh, I
topic,
like that.
and got
That's.
into a little bit of kind of sociology, a little bit of like kind of where are we going as a country. COVID. Um, I think in large part we say this in the church, like COVID, um, like poured gas on already burning fires, or kind of pushed people in certain directions. If somebody was kind of already had one foot out the door of a
Hmm.
church, or of even practicing their faith, COVID kind of pushed them out the door. Now we hope some of those folks have come back, and we want them
Yeah.
all to come back. But I think the same is true in like politics. If you were kind of heading towards one way or the other, COVID kind of pushed you more, and so we have these like extremes in our society, in our culture, and it makes it like a kind of a tough place to live, because you have people. You see this on a college campus, like you see people, giving up friends over politics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Neighbors no longer speaking to each other because they put up a Trump sign or put up a Harris sign. And now we can't associate with those people because those people, are evil. And it's just not good. It's not good. It's not good for us. And we were already heading in this direction of isolation, of polarization. And so I use the example, and I actually used this in a homily too a couple weeks ago. Um, the example of this guy Robert Putnam, who's a sociologist, who wrote a book called Bowling Alone.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
And basically, his premise is that we're American culture. We're getting more polarized. We're getting less involved. We're getting more kind of turned in on ourselves. So he talks about like the number of people who go bowling by themselves.
Did your
And
parents bowl when you were a kid?
I only bowled at like birthday parties.
Oh no, my parents were in a bowling
Oh,
league
is that right?
at
Yeah,
St.
but that
Thomas
used to be a
More
big
when I was
thing, you know,
yeah.
that America traditionally go back to like Alexis de Tocqueville, Democracy in America. He talks about. I didn't say this in my talk, but he talks about Americans are joiners. We join. We love to be a part of things. Well,
Yes.
that's becoming less and less. You know, you look at civic organizations, the Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, um, and then even in the church, you know, Knights of Columbus, things, those sorts of kind of fraternal organizations
Yes. Okay.
are all like shrinking.
Dissolving.
They're shrinking.
The, what was it? What was it in the movie Stand By Me? The kid that he puked on the people. They had the
Oh, the
antlers on
benevolent order of antelopes. The
the.
women's auxiliary barfed all over the benevolent order of antelopes. For those of you who are 40 plus, you'll get this.
Oh my gosh!
If you haven't seen Stand By Me, you should check it out. We
I
watched
didn't
it one
realize it was a
night. Remember we
Stephen,
watched that one night about a year ago? That was fun.
and it was Stephen King. I didn't realize that.
Stephen King wrote Stand By Me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're just becoming more isolated. And we felt that in the church. I mean, we've seen that in the life of the church, you know, of people becoming yeah, just more turned in on themselves
Yeah,
and
sure. It
sort of
is true.
solely concerned with what's best for me. And that's not how politics was designed to work. That there's a
Me and
common
Jesus.
good. Yeah, me and Jesus, right? There's a common good that has to be um, when you vote or when you're politically active. It can't just be. So I use the example like Ronald Reagan when he ran in 1980. He ran against Jimmy Carter, and Jimmy Carter, you know, kind of was not. I mean, by all accounts, not a great president policy wise. And the economy just tanked. Gas prices were up. I mean, there was a hostage crisis. There was a whole big thing. And Ronald Reagan's whole campaign was like, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" And
Oh,
people answered, "No." It's the same argument. Trump is making the same argument today. Like, look at your grocery bill and vote for me. You know,
that's
look at how
true.
much stuff costs, and then vote for me. Look at inflation and then vote for me. And I'm not saying that's not like a decent argument. Economics are obviously a part of the way we organize ourselves of our politics,
Hmm.
but it can't just be like am I better off? It can't
True.
just be am I better off? Um, who is best for the common good of us? So
And oh,
I tried to get the young adults kind of thinking in that way,
okay.
less Trump Harris, less conservative liberal, and more who's going to help us move towards human flourishing? Who's going to help us move towards happiness in the best sense?
And who? Okay, who are those? So the question I would propose, like who is that? Is it that's gonna? Who are those people that are being led? Is it? I mean, do we go the whole spectrum and say, the people in prison, as well as the immigrants, the unborn, the college
Yes,
students,
yes.
the
I mean,
little,
we have to. I mean, when I'm voting, I mean, for me, and I kind of talked about this in the talk, but like, you know, I think the church. Somebody asked it in the Q&A. Somebody said like, "What do you think about single issue voting?" And I would say the church is not in favor of single issue voting, right? We have to look at the whole spectrum, but at the
yeah,
same time, that not all issues are equal.
that's true.
That issues of life and the right to life are preeminent, and our bishops have actually said that. The bishops of the United States have said
What year is
threats
that?
against innocent human life are preeminent.
What year was that card that came out that was like, it was a card and it had like recycling, abortion, immigration, nuclear
Yeah,
war,
I mean they come out
economy,
every year. They
and
come out
and
every
you like
year.
you circled it up, and if you got like a certain number at the bottom, that's how it was telling you how to vote.
Yeah, I use the example when I lived in Boston when I was in college, and there was a big Senate race, and they were trying to this kind of Catholic organization was kind of trying to make the claim of that that, and they kind of had it all issues are equal. So they were like, okay, on abortion, like the Republican, in this case, the Republican is like more Catholic because he's opposed to abortion. But then the Democrat was also like wanted to clean up the Charles River, which
So environment.
right. So like okay, there's one for the Republican, one for the Democrat because he's against abortion, but this other guy's in favor of cleaning up the river. And it's like no, that's not. Those are not. Those are not equal. Should we clean up a river? Yes, totally. Is that equal to the slaughter of innocent children? No, no, it's
No,
not. And so should cleaning up the river be a factor in your voting? I would say yes. Is it equal to a person's stance on abortion or euthanasia or IVF or something like that? Like
hmm,
I'd say I'd say no, and the church would say no. So we have to kind of look at it holistically, not one issue voters, but also not thinking that every issue is the same.
yeah,
So it's interesting. I mean, it's I mean
agree.
I'm not really looking forward to voting. You know, um, I'm not. What'd you say?
I said agree. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I'm sort of. I mean, I think I do this every time, but I'm like holding my nose and voting. Um, it's and I'm actually strongly considering. I think there may be some races where like I leave it blank. I mean, I'm kind of struggling with that right at this moment, where I'm just not comfortable voting for either one. But again, you can also this kind of came up at the talk. Like you can also kind of make the claim, I think, of voting for like the lesser of two evils. But my encouragement at the talk was like try to vote for the greater good, not the lesser of two evils. Who's going to bring
Yeah,
about
exactly.
the
I
most
that's
good?
it. Whenever I was talking to students about voting a couple weeks ago, I made that same claim. I said, let's flip this over back on its feet. What are the policies and the people, the politicians we're putting in? What are they doing to bring about the greater good of society? What are they doing to help things become more true, good, and beautiful in our world and in our surroundings? And so I encourage them to like look at politicians that way. And I'm gonna do a segue real fast. I
You
told
segue. You go for it.
I told them to get off the wallflower political armchair quarterbacking and get in the game.
Get in the
If you
ring.
remember, I don't remember the year, maybe you do, of the college guy who became mayor of Stillwater.
I mean, that was before our time,
Yeah, it
and
was like in
I think that was a disaster, wasn't it?
I don't know how bad of a disaster it was, but right now in the city of Stillwater we have a full time or a part time mayor.
I don't live in Stillwater anymore. Maybe things
Well,
have
I think you
changed
knew
since
when
I
you
left in April.
yeah, not much has changed. But even the school board, like students getting involved, registering to vote here in the city of Stillwater, voting for their district people, their congressmen. I mean, we just had uh, a local congressman who got voted out. because
Oh, really?
people, yeah, people didn't like him. So
Oh,
he saw the
wow.
streets. He's no
Yeah.
longer. I went there and gave a talk. He invited me to the Capitol to give a talk to a bunch of people,
Oh, I remember
politicians.
that last year. Yeah, when
Yeah,
I still lived there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And he is now not our local representative
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I
of.
think for our people who are listening, and I think especially like college students and my cathedral people, like what we need. I mean, if you don't like who's running, like you should consider running. You know, I mean, we need good people, and I think we need good. We need good people in both major parties. Um, we need. I would love to see like a really strong third party. I've
Yeah.
really come to like the American Solidarity Party, which is very Catholic. But they're not on the They're not on the ballot in Oklahoma. Um,
Whoa. Why is that?
so, they're just small. They're on the ballot in a couple different places, but Oklahoma's not is not one of them. But I would love to have like a strong third, like Robert F. Kennedy. Robert Kennedy is on the ballot in Oklahoma. Um, the Libertarian Party, Chase Oliver is on the ballot in Oklahoma, and then there's like a fifth guy who's like an independent, which is I don't know, kind of an intriguing option to kind of almost like a protest vote. But I love, and maybe we'll kind of as we close. I love that there's a famous quote from Teddy Roosevelt. Have you ever heard this about the man in the arena?
Uh-uh.
Like we need people who are gonna like jump in and get like their hands dirty a little bit.
I
I think
agree.
it's kind of like being. I mean, you and I love being parish priests, and part of being a parish priest is like we get our hands dirty a little bit. It's not We're not sort of theologians in an ivory tower at a university. We are like in the thick of it, hearing confessions and baptizing babies and counseling people, and like it's dirty and it's messy and it's not always so. Um, you don't always kind of see the benefit of it. Anyway, this is Teddy Roosevelt. He said this was in 1910. He said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat."
Wow.
Yeah.
I just,
I,
the
I
word,
think about that a lot when I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be one of those days where I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, this is it, bro, man in the arena. Like you get after it. Go love your people.
the word
It's not easy.
swashbuckling came to mind.
Yeah, just do it, man. So anyway, that's what I think we need in politics. We need some good people who are going to run. We need good people getting involved in the life of local government, whether in Stillwater or here in Tulsa. Um, yeah, and I guess the final. We just have a minute or so left, but I don't know when you vote, how many of you listening like have actually like prayed like pray for wisdom. If you've been baptized and confirmed, you have wisdom. You have the gift of wisdom. And are you opening that up? Are you asking the Lord for help in making
Amen.
in
Yeah.
making a decision? I think a lot of times we sort of compartmentalize our, well, that's my political life and I'm just going to vote, what's ever best for my pocketbook. No, what's best for human flourishing? Who's going to help bring about um, the greatest happiness and good order in our culture. Anyway, That's a few.
Dang,
That's a few
brother.
thoughts.
This is so great. I love this.
All right. Well, we're gonna go. Thanks for listening, everybody, and
Tune
we
in
will
next
see
week.
you
More to
next
come.
time.